everybody has chat available. If you can't see chat, just click on the public chat thing on the left-hand side under messages, and you'll have a screen open up, and you'll see all the chat that's been going on here for the last half hour or so. You can chat me directly or chat the group. If you have questions for me in particular, especially during the speaker, if you want to chat me directly while I'm speaking, just do the general chat because it'd be too tough for me to find it. And thank you, David, for starting the recording. I was just looking up saying I didn't start the recording yet. And then if in the event that I do mute everybody, I will unmute everybody at the end of the presentation. I know Dave likes to be interactive, so I'll unmute everybody for that. And if you have a headset, that's probably the best way. Tonight I'm using my earbuds because the computer I'm using doesn't have a Bluetooth isn't working on it. So, all right. So here's our agenda for tonight. I have a welcome, which has started. I have a bunch of announcements, things that past events, coming events, just general announcements, some very important announcements, and then one of our favorite talks is when Dave Bishop does his astronomy year in review. And then at the end, he's going to ask, "Do you guys like this? Is it a good thing?" It's probably one of the most entertaining talks that we have during the course of the year, to recap some of the things that have gone on, some of the things we do know about, other things that we may have not known happened during the year in review. So a favorite talk for us is Dave Bishop's Astronomy Year in Review to wind up our evening. So it's been kind of nice. Anybody have any observing stories they want to share with us?
I got a good one.
Sure,
Steve
Dave.
Bishop. The night of the Dragon crew launch, we had a perfect pass of ISS, followed by the Dragon crew module. It went right directly over Rochester, New York.
We did, and I think I have a picture to show you in a little while.
Cool.
Yes. So it was a couple of weeks ago, the last new moon. When was that? That was 2 weeks ago. I went to the site. I called Peter Blackwood, and I said, "I know we got to stay apart, but are you interested in doing some observing tonight?" And so we each brought our scopes out. We set up about 10 feet apart, and we did a little sky tour on a new moon in May. And that same night, Leo was over at the Uralese Dome working on getting the spectroscopy going up again there, just basically getting refamiliarized with the equipment. And then up at the big dome, Bob McGovern was up there with Dave Bradley, and they were trying to get the Schmidt the Celestron 14-inch Hyperstar up and running. So things are available to use at the site, and we actually did some nice observing. Peter and I probably we set up at dusk, and we didn't leave till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. So we had a really nice evening of observing. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
So Dr. Richmond says he's been trying to measure the parallax of a nearby star at 3 a.m. That's kind of cool. And we could ask him to give a talk about the results. So, Dr. Richmond, why don't you give us a talk about those results? Anybody else for observing? All right. Well, let me remind you, if you have not renewed your membership, please do so. Most of the people on here, I think, have renewed, but we are still missing some renewals. There's two ways to do it. You can mail in the form from the newsletter, or you can use PayPal to do it. I have a slide to show you how to do that. If you are struggling to pay your membership, please let me or any board member know if it's a hardship, and we can address that on a personal level. Don't have to do that here. Just contact me or any other board member, and we'll talk about what we could do for you if there's a hardship to pay your membership for 2020. And also, if you hold a key to the site, it's time to renew that. You know that eventually we will replace those keys, and you won't be able to get access into the building. Certainly get access to the sites. But time to renew your keys as well.
I'm sure they gave Bob, whatever his name is, a key too, and he paid.
Oh, all right. So here's how you renew via PayPal. This presentation, I will have, I've asked Peter Bono to put this up on our website. So the whole presentation will be on our website after our meeting, probably tonight or tomorrow. So that these steps to renew via PayPal will be available to use. So go check those out on our website. There'll be a PDF file for the whole, this whole PowerPoint presentation I'm showing you this evening. All right, so recent events. Did anybody catch the webinar from the, what is this, Night Sky Network on the International Space Station Research and Technology 101? Who else? Anybody else catch that? These are the same guys that did the moon return survey a while ago. This was a pretty interesting one. The stuff that's going on, the research that's going on in the space station and the international cooperation. This was about a week ago, and there's a replay for it. If you missed it, that link is there. And if you're, like I said, if you grab the PDF of this at the on our website tonight or tomorrow, you can pull it there. There is another webinar coming up. The next one is on Tuesday, June 16th, and this looks really interesting. This is the revolution in commercial space development for the next 42 months. So there's a lot that's going to happen commercially in space over the next 3.5 years, and this is a great place to find out what is happening. You do need to pre-register to get in on the webinar, but you can watch the recorded version on YouTube afterwards. But there's the link down there to get a pre-registration. You go on there, you just give them your name and how many people are attending where you are, and you can attend the webinar. This looks like a really, really interesting one. What's coming up? We have no idea. I have no idea what's coming up with commercial space. This would be a good way to get a primer to find out what exactly is going on for the next 3.5 years. So here is what Dave spoke of. I'm going to full screen this for myself. I don't know if I was going to full screen it for you, but this is an image by Nick Lamondola with a heads up from Bill Schlein of the Crew Dragon and ISS flyover. You'll see the Crew Dragon on the left and ISS on the right. You'll see that the Crew Dragon is a little dimmer than the ISS. So this is looking in the northwest. And I believe the proper motion is going from bottom right to top left. So pretty interesting event, because that's not something you can normally see. We just happen to be in the right place. That's northeast. Thank you, Dick. In the northeast. It looked like northwest, how bright it was down there. But an awesome. So was it going the opposite direction then, Nick? Was that direction wrong? He's typing. It went west to east. So it was going the opposite. It was going from top to bottom, from left to right. Interesting. But that was kind of cool, and we have our first commercial men delivered into space. That's pretty awesome. All right, so here's an announcement. Dr. Richmond is here, but I thought that this would be appropriate for us to recognize that Professor Richmond was honored with the Eisenhardt Award, which gives teachers an award at RIT. It encourages the growth and development of RIT faculty, specifically recognizing those who contribute the most to enhance student learning. And we all have known Dr. Richmond for a long time, and he obviously finds a lot of fun in teaching after 20 years. And I like the quote that he gave them, and that it's okay to make mistakes. You can still succeed in life even if you make mistakes. And the other thing is that I hope that you see that what you're learning is really cool stuff. And there's a nice picture of him over at the observatory at RIT. So congratulations, Dr. Richmond. That's a fantastic award. Glad to have you in our ranks. Hoping that I might succeed in life. I think you've done a good job of that. Another announcement for the Ferris Center. I got a number of improvements and activities that's going on at the Ferris Center. The first is that we have tick and Lyme disease info and notices up all over the place. On the left, you see a picture, is a stand of different pamphlets, flyers, and information on Lyme disease, what to do if you get bitten by a tick, how to avoid getting bitten by a tick. Feel free, if you're at the site, to take any of these flyers that are there. There's information on what to do if you do get bitten, and information on Lyme disease and all else. There's signs posted. You'll see the railing there on the right-hand side of this. It has the sign that's in the center and another one as well. That, going past that railing where it's not mowed is really where your big risk is. If you're in mowed areas, your risk of encountering a tick is much lower than if you're in, by the trees or by the rails or where we don't actively take care of the ground. So just beware of ticks. I know that this spring I was out helping the mineral section get their shed up, and there were 3 of us there, and the guy that was putting the foundation in. All 3 of us had tick bites while we were there, early March. It was crazy. We have a new gravel. The new walkway was put in. We are asphalt paved. I'm going to make this wide so you can see it. We now have an asphalt paved walkway that goes all the way down to the parking lot, where we had an awful lot of trouble. It was all gravel before, but it had become totally weed overgrown, and we are now able to walk all the way up on an asphalt walkway. Bob McGovern asked that we for the next week or so, because it's still kind of hot out, just be careful walking on it. We want to give it some time to actually cool to a point where it's stronger than it would be if it's soft and warm. So, but it's a nice improvement for the Ferris Center walkway all the way up to the Wolk Education Building. All right, let me get back to where I was. But that's not what I wanted to do. Hang on. There we go. All right. So, major announcement, Rochester Star Fest, as we knew it, will not happen this year. But we're going to carry on. We are going to have Dr. Nick Warner give his talk on the Mars Insight rover. Dave's trying to have him move the talk to Friday, July 17th, kind of a normal meeting night for us as a Friday night. We're going to ask him to move that talk to a Friday night. We're going to solicit other short talks. We normally have talks at Starfest on Saturday that precede our evening activity, and we'll be soliciting short talks that people might want to do on Thursday evening. A short, whether it's a 20-minute or a half an hour or an hour talk on Thursday or potentially Friday as well, the day before our major talk, our feature talk, or the day of the feature talk. So let me know if you're interested. We do have a couple of things that we had planned already for Starfest, some of which are a little more physical, that you need to be there to really experience it. But if you haven't talked to church at the beginning, let me know, and we can schedule it as part of this what would have been a Starfest. We are also going to have the site open for observing. It is a new moon that evening, and the site is, as it always is available for members to use. But I would suggest that we would make this an outdoor-only gathering on Saturday to do observing. We will have the bathrooms available. We will also going to work on having a very, very strict bathroom procedure to follow. It's not going to get into you now, but it will certainly involve wiping things down before and after you use a bathroom. So I'm sure that's going to change in a public way anyway very soon, but we will also have that for what would have been our Starfest. We're not actually going to have the Starfest, but we will try to have a member observing night on that Saturday. Also, our science club, which was geared towards kids anywhere from 12 to 95, Science Club is canceled for the summer. We thought about doing something virtually, but with all the other virtual learning that's going on, we thought it might be a little too much to do that. Plus, a lot of the things that we were doing are pretty much hands-on. So we're going to cancel for this summer and bring it back next summer. All right, so another announcement is, and I talked, a couple people were on earlier and I mentioned this, is that we're going to try to do a virtual observing. So potentially what we would do is live stream telescope observing with two particular scopes that we have. We would try to stream live visual through our TMB 130 millimeter. It's about a 5-inch telescope, and it's equipped with a Herschel wedge. But what we would do is use it as a visual telescope to stream images of what we could see through that scope. And then secondly, we could take short images with the C14 down below. We could take images and then stream those as we image. We could talk a little bit about the difference as we're doing that between visual imaging and photographic imaging. And then we could do an actual tour of the sky, looking at objects for an hour or so, talking about different characteristics of different nebula, star clusters, etc., the other things that are going on there. If you think you can help out with this, I've contacted Dave Vogel and Dave Bradley, and Dave's and I are going to get together and figure out what we got to do with that equipment to get it online. We actually did something like this with the Mercury transit a number of years ago. So that's something that we're going to try to revisit and stream. Something that we could stream for our members and other people to use as well. So more to come on that. But if you think you can help me with this, you have ideas that we can use, please let me know, and we'll take it from there. Excuse me. So we are looking for people to help with the mowing crew. We have a handful of people to mow. Right now we're mowing about every 5 days. So if you're able to help mow the lawn and you have experience using a lawnmower, let us know, and we can get you signed up to help mow the grounds. It is growing very quickly. All right, announcements of upcoming events. So we have our board meeting. Our next meeting is on July 8th at 7 p.m. If this is open to any member, if you want to attend, let me know. I can send you a link and password to join the meeting. Glad to have any member that wants to attend. So let me know. That next meeting is July 8th. And so I already talked about this, but I want to give a slide for it as an upcoming event. So Friday, July 17th, we're going to have Dr. Nick Warner talk. But ahead of that, we had planned on some activities with the Rochester Academy of Science, and we are going to induct Bob McGovern as a fellow of the Rochester Academy of Science before we have our talk by Dr. Warner. The Rochester Academy of Science has some recognition of a couple of people that have done a lot for the astronomy section and for the RAS as well. And RAS elections will be happening. We want to welcome a new board member. There is a new board member, and he's actually here. Dr. Richmond has joined the board of the Rochester Academy of Science, and we will recognize his induction then. The elections need to happen, but I think you've been appointed, haven't you, Michael? You've been appointed as a member at this point? Yes, he is. And then we'll have Dr. Nick Warner do his talk on the Mars InSight rover. I had a peek preview of the InSight rover talk. He gave a similar talk at the Strasbourg Planetarium. Was it last year? I think it was last year at this point. And he'll be doing a talk on a similar subject for us. It's a very, very good talk. He's very well versed in this. And then Saturday, that same weekend, is when we have our member observing. Outdoors, bathrooms will be available, but with specific rules on using the bathrooms. So, questions on that, on the July meeting? All right, more to come, more information. Certainly, we're in phase 4 of New York's opening, New York Forward, and we are only now in phase 2, just kind of beginning that. So we don't know how soon phase 4 will be here, nor what what all the rules will be for us. So more to come on that. And then I think this is the last announcement I have for upcoming events is our August meeting. Certainly, we would like to have this at our site as we would have our summer meetings. We don't know if that will happen. I know we're going to try. This is a TBA, to be announced, but possibly we have a talk that we were looking for earlier in the year on the current and future space projects at L3 Harris. Hoping to have that talk. If not, we will certainly have something else at an August meeting on Friday, August 7th. And if we can do it at our site, we will. Or if the situation demands, we'll do another webinar like this. So hopefully we can meet in person again soon. All right, with that, we go to our feature presentation by David Bishop. So what I'm going to do, you guys okay? You don't need a break or anything yet? That's pretty quick. I'm going to go down to Dave Bishop. I'm going to make him a moderator. All right, Dave, so you can take over now and pull your presentation up.
Okay, I'm taking over presentation.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm going to share screen 2. And let's see what comes up. And screen 2 is coming up. Now I'm going to go into slideshow mode and push the button. Now there should be a little window on your upper right which says to open the screen to full screen size. You might want to do that because otherwise some of these slides are going to be a little small.
So you have arrows pointing at 4 corners up on the right near David's screen there. So go to full screen, you can see the whole thing.
Now, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. All right, I try to start these shows with a meteor every year. And this particular one landed in the ocean. It hit 380 kilometers south of Puerto Rico. It turns out that when they took images, they found out that this is a known object, 2019 MO, which was actually a fairly good-sized meteor that hit. This is a radar image from Alaska. And note the North Pole in the image. This is a lightning strike that happened at 6 p.m. Alaskan Daylight Time. And this is the first time ever a lightning storm has been seen in the vicinity of the North Pole. Never happened before. Now, as I do every year, if you have any questions about any of these slides, I've already uploaded the presentation to the webpage. And Mark, do you have a slide on that?
For your webpage?
Yes.
I do not. I can put one in there. Yes.
Okay. Just to make sure that everybody knows how to get to the thing. It's already loaded on the webpage. I will word it out, but it'd be much better if it was seen typed and maybe just added to the presentation that you're doing.
That I could do.
Okay. Keep on going here. You guys remember the Hiroshima plant? Oops, sorry. The Hiroshima nuclear reactors that leaked radiation. Stay. Okay. Those reactors, this release was the release of ruthenium-106, and it was 100 times as intense as the Fukushima release. The Russians hushed it up. This is just last year. And these are all the different radiation detectors that went off throughout Europe and Russia. Here is our old friend from last year. This is B18, which is an iceberg, which is now calved off of Antarctica and is now slowly moving into the roaring 40s. To give you an idea of size, this thing's roughly the size of Hawaii. And just when you thought it was safe, another one's calving off. This one's about the size of London. Here we have a photo of the Ridgecrest earthquake. The little line you see going through the image, sort of to the top, is actually the fault that broke apart as seen from space. These are not islands. This is a pumice raft in the Coral Sea. The shot taken from orbit on August 9th. An undersea volcano spit up a bunch of pumice. It's now floating around in the Pacific Ocean. The eye of Hurricane Dorian. This is a weird atmospheric phenomena called an atmospheric wave. This thunderstorm that you see at the lower part of the image actually created enough of a disturbance to cause a wave to fly through the atmosphere north of Australia. And you're seeing the results of the wave here, clearing out the clouds. Can people see these images?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm not zooming in, especially because they look grainy when you zoom in on them. Australian bushfires. Fires in Brazil.
So Dave, can I interrupt you?
Sure.
Move a little slower. I think the images are taking longer to upload for some people than others. So if you spend a little more time on each image, they'll have time to load.
Yeah, I'm doing a dual display here.
Yeah.
I've got one display showing the images, and I've got another display showing you guys. So
Yeah.
I can keep on reading the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll slow down just a little bit here.
Yeah. Can everybody see the image now of which one you got up now? This is the.
This should be Brazil. What
These
you're
are
looking
Brazil.
at are man-made fires in Brazil, where they're burning off parts of the rainforest in Brazil from last year. If they're only covering one small part of the screen, then you may need to go into full screen mode to see them. All right. Ryokoke Volcano, June 22nd, 2019. This is off of Russia.
Wow.
And here we have a shot of Epcot. What is really weird about this image? No cars. Empty parking lot. For the first time, Epcot shut down. This to me is even a weirder image. How many people have taken a cruise? This is the Royal Caribbean Fleet. Most of these boats are Panamanian registered with Italian crews, and the Italians don't want them, and the Panamanians definitely don't want them. So they're all sitting anchored off of an island in the Caribbean, just floating around. Now let's start with telescopes here. The Australian Square Kilometre Array has been getting these things called fast radio burst. They come from 4 billion light years away. These things start out at 1.4 gigahertz, kilohertz, and they go up to 400 to 800 megahertz, sweeping down in frequency. And they're coming from a point source, which we believe, according to our current theory, is this magnetar. Spherical aberration has finally been solved. This is called a biospheric Signet lens. And apparently by using a lens which is developed with this really funky looking waveform, you can actually solve spherical aberration, which is something all of us who've ever tried to build our own telescopes have fought with. And this shot. This is actually a shot that Steve Fentress posted to his Facebook page. This is the once top secret Gambit spy satellite donated to the Strassenberg Planetarium. Wait for it to come up here. There we go. The third Falcon Heavy launch. This one launched 24 satellites into space. This is it taking off and crashing onto the barge. This is the third time they've not been able to salvage the core from a Falcon Heavy. The logo of the new Space Defense Force, a new Trump-created agency. We'll see how far this one goes. Notice the direct sweep from Star Trek. The number of launches that have been happening has been going up at an amazing rate. This graph shows you the number of commercial launches that have happened in the last couple of years. Notice the large number, which keeps on growing. Here we have the X-37B landing after a 780-day mission in space. And here we have the Boeing space capsule. This is their manned vehicle, and this is the first launch of their vehicle. It got up and it got into an orbit which couldn't connect with the space station. They couldn't get it up high enough. So they just returned it, and now they're going to try again, and possibly again, with trying to dock this thing with the International Space Station. However, SpaceX has been doing it quite well. In this particular experiment, SpaceX took one of their crew return vehicles, without anybody in it, of course, and intentionally blew it up to make sure that that would safely return to Earth afterwards. And it did. Here we have the first docking of Dragon Crew. This is actually the first docking with the on-demand Dragon Crew, not the manned one, which just happened a couple of days ago. This is the console of Dragon Crew. It's all touchscreen. And notice the buttons on the bottom. These are basically the only manual buttons the guy has. So if he doesn't have his crew screen, he can push the deorbit now button or the deorbit next button, and that's pretty much about it. Everything else is touchscreen. This, if it shows up, 1, 2, 3, there we go. Okay. This is the launch stage of the Dragon Crew module being towed back out of the Atlantic Ocean for refurbishment and for another launch. What they do is they land it on the barge. They go out to the barge and tie it down, and they tow it back in, reload it, and ship it off again. The one that was used for the explosion that I showed you a few slides ago had actually been launched 9 times. Okay, our next step up. This is Soyuz MS-13 Expedition 60, crew to the space station. The very first all-female spacewalk. This is a cool shot. This is one of the guys that actually sends me images from my supernova page. He actually got this on his C11 telescope from the ground in Italy. Shot of ISS. Here's a spot that I heard about but didn't know where it actually was. This is Point Nemo. It is the one spot on the planet Earth farthest from any land. And this is where they dump all of the space garbage. Soyuz resupply craft, the Mir was dumped here, the Japanese cargo ships are dumped here. Everything is dumped at this particular spot in the South Pacific Ocean. Solar sail. They finally got to deploy a light sail. This is called Light Sail 2, launched on July 23rd, 1969. And here they actually deployed the light sail to change the orbit of the spacecraft. So they actually used the light sail to maneuver it into a different orbit. Spectre RG. The Russians now have their own X-ray observatory. So this guy is an X-ray background mapper, and this is a joint project with Germany. Here we have a new one. 2 private satellites docked with each other in geosynchronous orbit. The extender mission, let's see, what do we have here? Yes, the extender mission actually docked to this particular geosynchronous satellite with more fuel and its own maneuvering capability to extend its life. This marked the very first time that a private company has actually docked anything in space. The Test Planet Finder, designed to find Earth-sized planets in the habitable zone. Up and running and working. We have results from it already, which I'll be showing you some of later. This is the orbit of TESS. Basically what it does is it starts off in Earth orbit, and its orbit extends out almost as far as the moon. But you can see the fun that they have looping it around to get it up to where it is. Asteroid 2019 OK. This is basically a city killer sized asteroid, 60 meters wide. This came 1/5 of the distance between the Earth and the Moon. This is asteroid 2020 BX12, which zoomed by Earth on February 4th of this year. And radar shows that it has its own little moon. Now this little guy is tiny. It's about the size of a car. But this guy has actually been caught by the Earth's gravity and is now a new moon orbiting the Earth. We figure it'll stay around the Earth in orbit for a while, and then as the moon perturbs it, it'll go back into solar space. Our next step. This is the crash site of the Chandramayana, India's lunar lander, Chandrayaan-2. This is its photo of the dark side of the moon, or the far side of the moon. I say the dark side of the moon, I'm thinking about the album again. Sorry, the far side of the moon. And here we have a photo of the Beresheet lander, which is Israel's attempt at a lunar lander. And here is a lunar reconnaissance orbiter shot of where it impacted on the surface of the moon. The Chang'e 4 lunar rover is still moseying about on the far side of the moon, using a relay satellite to relay data to Earth. And it's found some interesting soil on the moon. This is like a gravel pit almost, it looks like, on the moon. It's not the lunar dust we're used to. Now, if anybody has questions, just type in the chat area or say what you like, and if I'm going too fast, tell me. Audio keeps going out. All right. That could actually be my signal here. I attempted to upgrade to a 4 times faster network, and my network went down so many times I had them put me back to my old plan. Breathing into the mic. Does this help at all? Okay. Did what I just do help? Okay. Next step here. This is looking down inside that crater. This is Duyochio satellite. This is the radar this is a satellite which is actually orbiting on the far side of the moon and is relaying data from the lander. And it's here deploying its radio receivers. And here we have the complete set of Apollo landing sites from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The moon's south pole. This basin appears to have been hit by something very hard and very metallic at one point. And now we take our next step. Olaf Forum used to be doing this, and now the Planetary Society has decided to do it. This shows the Earth, all the stuff around the moon, all the stuff around Mars, and all the things in the inner solar system and the outer solar system. You will note the Parker Solar Probe is now giving us some nice tight images of the sun. The OSIRIS-RX and Herbaceous 2 probes are on the way back from the asteroids that they sampled last year. The Akatsuki probe is an orbiter on Venus. And BiPepi Combo is on its way in towards Mercury. You note that stereo ahead and stereo behind are no longer on the far side of the sun. They've now migrated to our side of the sun. And they will be on our side of the sun for a little while. Then they'll change places and go back to the other side. As they go with one orbit, which is slightly in from us, and one orbit, which is slightly out from us with a stereo observing satellites. At the moon, we've got the Chang'e 3 and Chang'e 4 landers on the moon. We've got the relay probe, which I was just talking to you about, Chandrayaan 2 in orbit, Chang'e 5, T1 in orbit, and of course our own Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The Artemis probes are gravity probes, which are orbiting just beyond the moon. And what they're doing is they're looking for the mass cons on the moon. On Mars, which is something I'll be getting to in a little while, we have an entire fleet of probes, including the new ExoMars. As of last year, I believe we finally lost the Mars 95 probe, where it finally failed to communicate with Earth. We've got the InSight lander and the Curiosity lander, and you will find even more wonderful stuff coming up. The sun, solar minimum, no sunspots. No, that is not a sunspot. That is the International Space Station passing over the surface of the sun. Also not a sunspot. This is a Mercury transit that happened November 11th, 2019. Here we have a shot of the Earth from Bipepi Combo. Heading on its way towards Mercury. This flyby was on April 10th. Venus from the Akatsuki probe. The ochre color is sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. Venus appears to have these crustal blocks, which actually have active volcanoes. And here we have a volcano that wasn't there when the US probe did its radar map of Venus. So this is a new feature on the surface of Venus, a planet we thought was pretty much dead. Off to Mars. A fresh crater on Mars. This crater happened between September 2016 and February 2019. This is Lomonosov crater. This is a 3 billion year old crater, 10 kilometers wide. And it's believed that when this crater was created, it caused a mega tsunami on Mars. Each and every one of these images is attached to an article, and later I'll be showing you a web page where we can get at it. All right. Dust towers on Mars, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The now dead Spirit Rover. I don't know if you can see the little teeny tiny circle in the bottom of your screen. You may have to zoom in. Curiosity rover. This shot taken December 16th of this year. Mars InSight. Taking a selfie. We have detected Marsquakes. Not earthquakes, Marsquakes. It appears that Mars actually may be somewhat active. Some say that these might be signs of water moving in the Martian underground. They finally got the mole to penetrate into the Martian soil. This is an earlier attempt to try to push the mole down into the surface of the soil of Mars. The idea is that they push this in and it drills itself down several feet. Oops. Let me go back. Here we have a pan. This is late afternoon on Mars from the Curiosity rover. This is a boulder made up of layers of rock, surface of Mars. On this particular day, the Curiosity rover detected a methane plume, 21 parts per million. The amount of oxygen on Mars is weird. They've predicted what it should be, which is the graph, and now they're actually measuring what it is. And during the summer, there's more of it, and during the winter, there's less of it than actually predicted. And here, taking another step back, this is the Perseverance rover. And Perseverance has a passenger, which is this guy. And this is called Integrity. And what Integrity is a little helicopter, which is going to be flying around on the surface of Mars. The new Perseverance rover is going to be using this guy as a scout. One step out further. Comet 2019 Q4. This guy turned out to be another interstellar object, coming in from deep space and going out to deep space. That makes 2 interstellar objects in 2 years. This is the path that it took through the solar system. Basically, the sun just bent its trajectory a little bit. Comet 2019 Q4, Hubble Space Telescope image. They were able to track the one from last year, 2017, Oumuamua, backwards. And it appeared to come from what appears to be a very, very young solar system. Here we have the breakup of Comet 2019 Y4, Comet Atlas. This was supposed to be another one of the big comets. Our next step. New Hubble Space Telescope shot of Jupiter. On August 7th, this August 7th of last year, something hit the surface of Jupiter on our side. We don't know what, but it was actually picked up by several different telescopes. Jupiter from the Gemini Observatory in infrared. Juno probe is still imaging and will be for another year or so. And this is actually a black hole on the surface of Jupiter. This is actually a hole in the atmosphere. Io's shadow on the surface of Jupiter. We've discovered a bunch of new moons on Saturn, which now has 82 moons. Jupiter's count is only 79 at this point. This is from the Subaru telescope. Notice that one of them is a wrong-way window. In the retrograde group, there's actually one moon which is going prograde, in the group of retrograde moons. This is thought to be a captured asteroid. And just announced this year, Dragonfly. Dragonfly is a Titan lander flyer, the moon Titan of Saturn. To be launched in 2026 and to land in 2034. Taking your next step out, a new rogue planet, CFB DSRIR 2147, 100 light years away. A planet without a star. And my last page here. Planet TOI 700D within the habitable zone of a red dwarf. Yes, artist rendition, of course. I wish it were a real image. I wish we could get resolution like that. The third planet found in the Kepler-47 binary system. Also in the habitable zone. Kepler-51 system, 2,400 light years away. This planet has a density of 0.1 gram per cubic centimeter. Basically, the planet has the density of cotton candy. This one isn't an artist rendition. This is a shot of M16 taken by Mark Pugh. This is what it's supposed to look like. Okay, now Mike's more happy with me. Check out this guy. This is the Carini Nebula from the Hubble Space Telescope. Yep, Astronomy Picture of the Day. That's where I got this image. $10 billion years ago, another galaxy hit the Milky Way galaxy. And this is from information from the Geoprobe. And it's thought that that is what causes the central bar in our galaxy. 3.5 million years ago, the black hole in the center of our galaxy was active. And it actually sent out bursts of radiation, which has actually illuminated part of the trail of the Magellanic Clouds as they passed over the North Pole of the galaxy. Yes, artist rendition. This is a current shot, or sorry, a current idea of what our galaxy looks like. Notice where the sun is. There are actually only two major arms here. And all the rest of them are sub-arms of the two major arms, which are coming off the two spurs. Yes, there's no way we can get far enough from the sun to actually take this image. Another artist rendition. But we are in the Orion spur of the Sagittarius arm of the galaxy, which is actually a subspur of the Scutum Centaurus arm. NGC 2985, Spiral Galaxy, Hubble Space Telescope. Edge on NGC 1032. UGC 1251, fastest known rotating galaxy. This is a 400 million light year away galaxy, and it's rotating twice as fast as the Milky Way. all of these galaxies are rotating faster than theoretically possible. It's thought that they must have some dark matter halos in them. NGC 5907, tidal streams. NGC 4490, colliding galaxies. Another pair of colliding galaxies, UGC 2369. And yet more colliding galaxies. NGC 7714, Hubble Space Telescope shot. Here, we have a shot of NGC 6240. And the two bright dots you see are actually two giant black holes that appear to be merging in the core of this galaxy. The Hubble Space Telescope is detecting what appears to be a lot of dark matter. When it images objects, particularly in this particular instance where you see a quasar passing through a galaxy, it will get re-imaged by the gravity of the galaxy. And that gravity acts like a really bad lens. And what it does is it breaks up the image sometimes into several different images. But using that, we can measure the amount of dark matter in that galaxy. And we're getting some results that are really quite surprising. And this is where I'm going to actually end my show. Even black holes have a limit to their size. And we found black holes that are on the limit. And we've now found one that is way past it. 100 times 100 solar masses. And that is where I'm going to end my show. Now, let's see if I can do this correctly here. Okay, can you guys still see my screen?
Okay, I've unmuted everybody. If you want to unmute yourself to talk, you can do that. So, yes, I can see your screen. We can see your screen.
Okay. What I've done is I've uploaded the web page, everything that I've got here. You want to take a look at, there's one of the images that I had, onto a web page. So if you go to registerastronomy.org and you type in slideshow 2020, every single slide that I posted, lightning at the North Pole, and the article where it came from are all linked right here on this page. You'll also find 2019, 2018, and 2017 there too. You want to take a look at any of the previous presentations that I've done over the years. And according to my notes, the first time I did this presentation was in 1992.
Wow. Wow.
I don't know if I can show you this, but this would be really cool to kind of end the presentation on. Now let's see if this actually works. You guys see the observatory here?
Yes. Full screen before you do it. Yeah.
Okay, don't know how well this will play. We'll see. Yeah, it's not playing at all.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you an idea of what it looks like by paging through it. What this guy did is he took his telescope, polar aligned it, put a camera on it, and just let it spin all the way around for 2 days. Got a really cool shot when he did. from Australia. All right, back to where I was. Now, if you guys have any questions, speak up, and I'll go to the articles.
So feel free to unmute yourselves. I unmuted everybody, so you're forced muted. If you have questions. I had a question. I got to find the picture that I had a question about, though. So, Dave, the galaxies that were spinning so much faster, they think it's trying to think if at the galaxy level, is it dark matter or dark energy that's influencing the spin of the speed of the spin of the galaxies?
The leading hypothesis is dark matter.
Dark matter.
This is from Astronomy Picture of the Day.
Yeah.
This was linked on the image that I had for that particular one. And let me blow it up to full screen again. The cool thing is I can actually I've got two displays on my monitor. And I'm watching you guys on monitor 1, and I'm showing the show on monitor 2.
Gotcha. So dark matter is not, dark energy is much more abundant than dark matter, correct?
That is the current theory. Yes.
That's right. So dark energy is what, thanks, Dr. Richmond. Dark energy is what's pushing the galaxies apart, and dark matter is what's making them spin fast. Right. Okay.
That's actually a very good way to put it. Is dark energy is sort of like an anti-gravity.
Right. Right. So, so does that mean we have our ratios wrong? Who knows? Just a question.
I think dark matter tends to clump, and dark energy is more uniformly distributed through space.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Matter would clump anyway. That's why it would be matter, I guess.
Well, if dark energy was as clumped, so to speak, the way dark matter was, then the galaxies wouldn't be able to spin as fast as if there was no dark matter or dark energy.
Right. The dark subject.
No, but if it's an anti-gravity force, it would counteract the dark matter.
Well, it acts on a larger scale.
Exactly. So it suffuses space entirely, but it's not as concentrated, so to speak, as the clumps of dark matter, which hold the galaxies together.
Yeah.
That's what I got anyway.
Right. Jeff Carr had a question on, since we're now detecting lots of dark matter, are we getting any better idea of the nature of dark matter? WIMPs, black holes, etc.
All I can tell you is the wonderful thing about astronomy is that every time we think we know something, we find 10 things we don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. They're wide open. So those are the questions we ask. We don't have answers for them.
This is the second time I've done this talk. I did this for the Syracuse Club last month. And they had a lot more questions than you guys.
Oh, yeah?
Sorry.
Oh, I'm curious, for just for my own edification, how are people getting this? Is it dropping out a lot? And do you think it might be your connection? I have a 100 megabit connection here through Spectrum, and so I'm not having issues with keeping up. And I don't know what others are.
Everything's coming through very clear to me. So
You have how fast is your
I have a good connection too.
I got the 100 also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
5G,
mine's working good too.
I got a bunch of people typing in. So green light fiber in Pittsburgh, no issues. Dr. Richmond, Jim Walker's is fine. Bob Easterly's working great on his phone. I know the phone tends to be faster if you're on your phone you could pick it up. Yeah, so Spectrum has pretty fast connection. Even their lower levels, it's something like 50 megabits. Is a 50 megabit connection, so it's pretty good.
And my Wi-Fi is 5G also.
Yep. Yeah, I plugged into 5G, so I had a good connection. I figured I'd be talking. I got the presentation. I got the video on. I turned off the cameras because people are having trouble seeing things. I thought maybe that would help. But if you want to put your camera on now, you can. If you want to visualize, again, that's it's entirely up to you. But it does for people with poorer connections. I think it hurts the connection. Well, I'm glad to have everybody here. Any other questions for me about what we have coming up? Events that we're hoping to actually have kind of an event in July. We'll see what happens. A lot of that's going to depend on where New York State goes. Or questions for Dave on his presentation? Or comments on their internet speed? So Bill Schlein says his old MacBook wasn't working. Is that Bill Schlein? I think it's Bill Schlein. His old MacBook was not working at all for Dave's presentation, but the iPad is fine. Same Wi-Fi connection, so hardware matters. Interesting. Well, and it's all new for us. We don't always do this kind of communicating, so finding what works best is what we're doing, I guess. So. All right. Any other questions?
Well, now I get to put this slideshow away and start on the 2021 slideshow.
That's right. You get to wipe the slate clean and then start a whole nother sheet. These are another excellent show, Dave. Nobody has said anything. I'm giving you my virtual applause right now. Thank you very much. It's an awesome show. And you could. The interesting thing about it is you could probably spend so much more time talking about each image, but it would just give you less stuff to show. So it's always interesting. And the fact that you give us this link to all these things gives us the time to dig deeper if we'd like. So appreciate that.
Well, the thought is that you might want to explore deeper into some of these images, or maybe you can use them as a background image. And now you've got the link to everything here, the original article it came from, and everything.
Yeah. Dave Pesch, are you able to archive any of this public chat?
Yeah, we can pull the public chat. It's actually stored in the recording as well.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of feedback on as far as connection and all that. And I don't know if it's the software here or if it's connection or whatever, but that might be helpful to figure out what's happening.
Yeah, I think it's connection related because we bumped up the server like we did last time, and we're not even using 12% of it. So.
Oh, no kidding. So your server is fine. Okay.
Yeah, server's not doing anything right now. It does.
Yeah.
As more people connect with the webcams, it will increase. But I think we had about 20-something people connected with webcams, and it was still below 20%.
Yeah. But I got communication from a number of people that they were getting bumped out. I could see when people left. There were some people that had left the meeting and come back, and it happened to multiple people. So I was kind of concerned. It was probably connection.
Yeah. Do you have the list of people? Maybe I can reach out to them. The private chat is private. The public chat is public. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'll try to reassemble a list for you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We had about 50 people max tonight.
Yep.
I was watching the number of users that we had online.
I know. At least one or two people didn't even try to come back, or never came back. So. There's a question, Dave. Where's that pumice floating? David Bishop, you're on mute.
Sorry, the pumice was in the Pacific Ocean. I do that in meetings all the time for some reason.
No, but that's a good habit. That's a good habit.
Let's see, where are we here? Pumice raft in the Coral Sea. There it is. Drifting towards Australia.
So is that going to break up, or is it going to sink, or what's going to happen? I mean, it's pumice is very got lots of holes and oxygen and the air in it. So
What typically happens to these things is they break up and sink.
yeah,
Pumice is basically rock with air in it, and it got aerated, spit out of an undersea volcano. And this actually happens every couple of years, where ships are out and they see these new islands, or islands where they're not supposed to be, and they turn out to be pumice rafts.
interesting. All right. Well, I think that's it. We got clear skies out there, and I think we have a nice strawberry moon tonight. I don't think we see there's actually a lunar eclipse that we will not see. I think it's in the other side of the world we'll see the eclipse. It's not already happening. But we do have a full moon tonight. Not the greatest for observing, but it's always pretty to see a nice.
It's pretty cloudy right here.
Is it?
Yeah. Looking out my window.
Oh, I got clear skies in Ionia. Interesting.
I've
I
got
have
some quick
clouds.
patches up here in Hilton too. You get a chance, go to the bottom of this presentation. You see a bunch of videos you can play with. Okay.
Sounds good.
The
Thanks,
flying
David.
past Saturn's moons is really cool. Hang on to your seat when you watch it.
All right, so we will have, this is recording. I'm actually going to stop the recording. Am I going to stop it or am I going to pause it? It only gives me the option to pause it, David, so I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah, that'll stop. It's just
All
in case you want to restart it.
Yes.
So if you had something private you wanted to talk about, you could pause it, talk
Okay.
about it, and then resume
Right.
it.
So you can stop it at your convenience at this point.